Good morning, my name is Frances Stone, and I'm here today to share with you my experience of child poverty and things that are helping me and my children, and things I'd like to see the government implement to help others with child poverty. So, yeah. This feels a little bit like a dentist appointment, but I'm sure it'll be over soon. Good. See, the thing about poverty is that you work really hard to hide it. And coming here today and telling you my story, now everyone will see. And so that is something that I just have to deal with today to help other people that are dealing with this in BC, and especially our children. So, I wanted to write a great speech, but unfortunately, I work part-time. I'm raising 3 children by myself, and I co-host a radio show called Talk Recovery on Vancouver Co-op Radio, which is also trying to help people with their health. So a little bit about me. I'm the 11th child by a single mother. Don't want to get into the life story at all, but I was raised on assistance. I got a union job when I was 18 years old at Canada Safeway, and I got pregnant at 25 when I met the man I loved. Unfortunately, I didn't choose very well, and that goes back to being in child poverty. Is that's actually a part of it, is that you don't choose good partners. So, because I was neglected, and so, sought love in all the wrong places, blah, blah, blah. So, so I got pregnant and I tried to make the relationship work. Unfortunately, I lived in fear while I lived with him. And I left the relationship and tried to go and do things on my own. So I'm a dreamer, so I still believed in my dreams, and I went to school and worked part-time. What I ended up with was a humongous student loan debt that was the highest student loan daily interest rate that is possible, and so yeah, that killed that dream. I had a spiritual experience, and I, from there, tried to work on my spiritual life, which included, working on my relationships with my mother and my family, quitting drinking, quitting smoking, things of that nature. Going back to church, that sort of stuff. This led me to go back to the relationship and try to make it work again. And then I had 2 more children within 1 year. They're 11 months apart. And this would really begin my education in child poverty. So I work for a union, and I have had that job since I was 18, so that's 20 years. And during this time, we did not have a good contract, and employees with less seniority than me were given hours before me. And as well as that, I didn't have access to daycare. I lived in Surrey. First, I lived at my mother's for 5 years and was on the housing list. I couldn't find any housing within my community, so I moved to Surrey, where I didn't know anybody, and I felt very alone there. There was lots of housing there, but I didn't find any resources. And I am a door knocker, so I did look. I did find NAGS, which was an oasis in Surrey for me, and unfortunately that program was closed down at the end of that. So, and that I was a part of their women's empowerment program, which was for women that had suffered abuse, and the women in that group, we really bonded, and we were given access to resources through NAGS that we would have never had any other way. Some memories from that time in my life was when I moved out of my mother's into Surrey, into my own place. We didn't have anything. Like, it was just ridiculous, really. But I remember the first night, my children were sharing a room, and they were both in their cribs, and I laid on the floor praying and crying because I was so afraid. And more memories from that time. I wasn't on social assistance at that time. I was working whatever hours I could get that daycare would work, and their father would watch them one day a week, and that was really the one shift I could get a week so that I could work. So my son came home from school one day and said that he wasn't allowed to go to school the next day unless he had proper shoes and a proper jacket. And I had a complete stranger bring over those things because I had no money to buy them. Another moment I remember was sitting at the kitchen table, and my children, they were 2 and 3 at the time, asking for more bread and butter. And I had to say no. You can't have more. And you can't have more milk, which was already watered down. I mean, it was really like depression or something. I couldn't even believe it. So I phoned my employer and I said, this is not right. I make X amount of dollars an hour. I've worked for this company for 15 years. I should be able to work. Why can't I work? And he suggested I get a nanny. So that was helpful. I have been since apologized for that comment, so I don't mean to say anything negative about my union. They do work very hard for us. So then their dad went to jail, and don't want to get too much into that. But he went to jail, so I was no longer able to work the one day a week that was supporting me and my children. So then I had to go through many hoops to get welfare. Welfare was a welcome relief because I could count on it. And I could take my children to the dentist, which they had never gone because I lost my benefits through my employer when I couldn't keep up my hours. And so, so welfare was a welcome relief. I then pursued disability because, and I'll be frank with you, and I hope I'm not penalized for this, but it offered more money and I could survive on it. I knew that the $400 difference between welfare and disability would make a monumental difference in my children's lives. So I pursued it for that reason. What ended up happening was I ended up getting help for the first time ever. I ended up being able to see doctors. I ended up being able to get counseling. I ended up getting a whole wealth of services that was never available to me before that. And I ended up getting a bus pass. And you know what? When you're broke, a bus pass is like heaven on earth because you have freedom. You can actually go places and you don't have to walk. You have some amount of freedom. It's just pathetic, really. But anyhow, I remember phoning a government agency of some sort, and I was asking for help. I said, I'm usually, I get help from my employer with counseling, et cetera, and I don't really know how this system works. Is there someone I could talk to about my parenting, or just someone, just a group or something? And they said, oh, well, you need a file. And I said, okay, well, how do I get a file? And they said, well, your children need to be at risk. And I said, well, what does that mean? You have to abuse your children to get a file, to get help. And I said, well, that's what I'm trying to prevent. I'm trying to prevent us getting to that point. And that's the reality in Canada, is that you have to be at the very bottom gutter before you get help. And it's sad but true. From there, I was approved for disability, and that was through help that I got through NAGS. and they were a godsend to me. I was approved for a housing transfer to go back into my community, and my contract was eventually changed at work. We went back to Burnaby, which is our community, and back to 2nd Street School, which is our community school. There, I'm given affordable daycare. Before and after school daycare, they haven't raised the rates in years so that people can have access to daycare. And they have a hot lunch program, which is very helpful to me and my children. And they have a lot of love in that school. They have a lot of love, and they care about the people that they serve. They care about my kids. They love my kids. Also, we're part of the Salvation Army Church. They've helped us have Christmas for years. This is the first year that we won't need their help. They've also given us money for food. They've given us gift cards for food all year round. It's not just once a year with them, it's all year round. Things that have helped me and my children and ways that the government can help. One thing that has helped me immensely is to have the principle of working together with our Father. Even though our relationship hasn't worked, he loves his children, and I don't doubt that at all. And working together is a principle that my mother instilled in me, and is something that I'm trying to give my children, is a father that loves them. I think that that matters. I value that very much. I think that the government needs to look at their child support. I think that there should be some sort of tax incentive or tax break or something as an encouragement for men to pay child support. I think that that needs to be looked at again. It was something that was happening before and then dropped, and I understand, but I think it's something we need to look at to encourage men. I think allowing women on social assistance and disability to keep their child support would honestly lift people out of poverty almost immediately. So I don't know why child support doesn't go to supporting children. I have no idea what the logic is behind that. Affordable childcare is something that has absolutely helped me and my children. I would suggest looking at what 2nd Street School and East Side Opportunities are doing, and do more of that. A living wage through my union employer, and the ability to fight. You know, like I'm pretty sure right now, like you can't fight, and so that doesn't it doesn't allow people to fight for living wages. The fact that I am a union employee is the reason why I am not in poverty and I have a way out, and that is just the reality. I would suggest raising the welfare rates, so that would raise the minimum wage, and we could all work towards a living wage for everybody. My children are very loved. I think that's important to note that that's also a way out of child poverty, is that I love them and they know it, and their father loves them and they know that. And it's as much financial as it is spiritual, and et cetera, et cetera. I take full responsibility for my choices and my choices to have children. I know that I'm not perfect, and I don't mind at all if you judge me harshly for my choice in gentlemen colors. But what I don't allow and won't accept is that my children have to suffer. I won't accept that, because they're innocent and they've done nothing wrong. They shouldn't have to go without bread and milk. It's wrong. We have enough stuff. Before I go, I just wanted to say that Canada is a free country, and freedom is ability. And all I'm asking for me and for others is to have the ability to work ourselves out of poverty. I know you're going to take a financial hit when you have a child. I'm not, uneducated in that sense. But you should be able to work your way out. And the only way I'm working my way out is because I make a living wage. I have affordable daycare, and I work together with my ex. So thank you for listening.